A small cruising boat is like a sailing camper van, and it needn't cost a fortune. Later on, we'll be sailing with Marcus, who bought this boat for £4,000, and it didn't need much doing to it. Unlike this Sharpie I'm restoring. So far, I've stripped her out completely and removed the last few bits of deck. The previous owner had smoothed off this rather lumpy hull with epoxy resin, which is a gap-filling glue. When heated with this air gun, it quickly softens and can be scraped off. It's not the nicest repair job in the world, so we'll do something better there. I don't know what yet, but we may well remove this stem, because when we looked at it, we found actually it was a bit squiff. It dives off to the port side of it, so it should be really about here, and it's actually about here. But when we noticed that that was squiff, we also had a good look at the rest of the boat and found that actually it was twisted too. So in order to twist the boat back in line again, we needed to exert quite a lot of force on opposite sides. So what I did is just make up a couple of small pieces of timber, screwed them to the floor here, some old bottle screws, tied on with lots of blue rope to spread the load onto the boat. So when we tighten this bottle screw up, this side of the boat gets pulled down, the other end and the other side gets pulled down, and that slowly takes the twist out of it. Now, in order to see when we've got it perfectly level, I've put a couple of battens on the deck, and we've got a yellow one aft, a black one forward, so when we view from the front, we can see whether they're in line or not. And as I tighten the bottle screw, we should see the front of the boat come towards me, the back should stay where it is, and we should lose the twist. That should do it. In fact, I've come slightly more the other way. When I take all this lot off, the boat will spring back slightly. However, that should be stopped by the new deck structure, so it's a bit of a guess. A little bit more than we need, hope it springs back, she should end up nice and straight. Well, that's the theory anyway. While she settles back into shape, I'm nipping out to see my friend Marcus, who's just bought this small cruising boat. Excellent. This is the new boat then, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, superb. You just painted her, have you?
Yes, yeah, I'm just going over the bits that I missed last night.
Painting black in the dark, that's
yeah, not very easy.
When was she built?
About 1920.
Oh, right, so she's
quite an old
lady, yeah. Excellent, so you're nearly ready to go in?
Yeah, pretty much, and just touch
A few more bits and pieces. Yeah, you've got a bit of tape there you've missed.
Oh.
Yeah, better get that off. Can I have a look inside?
Yeah, sure, let's go. After you.
Thank you. Oh, she's lovely, isn't she? This is really lovely teak cockpit.
Really, really deep.
Yeah, nice and cosy. What's the engine?
It's a diesel. I'm not sure how good it is.
It's a Petter, isn't it?
Yeah.
Single cylinder Petter. That's good. Well, better than the petrol engine anyway.
It's safer, I suppose.
Yeah. I love this plaque as well. This is lovely. And 1920. It looks as though she's been to the Baltic and Holland and Germany.
Not sure she'll do that much with us, but I hope.
I'm sure she will. Sure she will. Can we go inside? Yeah. Oh, steps are missing.
Yeah, I took those out. Have a look at the engine.
Oh, she's lovely, isn't she?
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yeah. It's all teak in here as well, isn't it?
Yeah, someone spent a lot of time putting this teak interior in. It'll be a lot more comfortable when you get the bunk cushions in here as well, isn't it? And put the lid on the toilet.
Yeah, it's not very pretty, is it? But it's there.
Well, this is nice, well, isn't it? This,
Yeah, I can't get it working. I don't know what the problem is with that. You can get it going if you put your hand under it.
Hey!
Oh no, I just completely squirted everything.
That is superb effect, that is. Yeah. Well, tide's nearly up. Do you want to get her wet? This is the first time that Marcus has floated his new boat, so he's understandably a bit tense. I've got to keep my concentration too, as Anne weighs about 3 tons. It's only a small crane, and if I'm not careful, Anne won't be the only one getting wet. What we're going to do is keep her 90 degrees to the jib. Marcus has painted the bottom with a black anti-fouling paint. This stops weed and barnacles growing on the hull and should last all summer, except for the 2 bits you can see he's missed. It's always quite exciting launching at the start of the season, and even more so when she's your new boat. Hey, she floats. How's it looking?
Coming in.
No leaks?
No.
Excellent. Excellent. Even though she's been laid up for a whole year, the engine starts first time.
It works.
Excellent. Good. I'm leaving Marcus now to to put up his own mast, because I've got to get back to work on another small cruiser, Dagmar. So far, I've restored the hull and decks, and now it's on with the cabin. This is some of Dagmar's interior. There's the head's door. There's all sorts of various bits and pieces which we're going to try and get back in. I'm not quite sure which that bit is. Here's a couple of nice bits which are off the forehatch. Now we've actually stripped and revarnished these, and although they're not new and there's stains and so on, these all add up, so the honourable scars of time that make it worth having and worth keeping. Because if you rebuild a boat and you stick a new interior in, made out of new wood and so on, you lose part of the history of the boat, part of the feeling of it. So we try and keep every bit we can, clean it all up, repair it where need be, and get it back in the boat. Today I'm making a new step for the cabin, so I've selected a suitable piece of wood from the pile. This is Dagmar, and you can see she's quite simply laid out. She's got 2 bunks, one at each side. Then up forward there's a galley, which is very traditional for 1930s boats. The galley was always up forward, left over from when the skipper had a crew and so on, and they'd work the boat from up forward. One of the major features in here is this engine right in the middle of the saloon, which is quite strange. Normally they're under the cockpit. But Dagmar was built by a company that used to build motorboats, Silvers of Rosneath, and they always put their engines in the middle of the boat. Right, now we've got to look a bit closer at this step before we go too far. And we get quite a lot of clues here. You can see that, see here, that's the top of the step, and we can actually see the nosing, the shape at the front, and that gives us a thickness. But also it's quite dark here, which makes me think there was some sort of front. But if there's a front, then this floorboard can't come up, which is a new one we made last year. That's interesting, because actually you can see there's some screw holes there and some more there. So they look like hinge holes. So I reckon it probably had a folding hinged front, which would also give a lot of support for the step, because the step's going to want to push down. You get that big chap jumping on the top here. It's quite a large distance to span. It's a bit of a guessing game, because all this timber came out, the whole interior came out about nearly 10 years ago now, and no one can remember how it went. The first job is to clean up the face of the plank using my thicknesser. What we've done, we've put 2 support battens in to support the new step, and now we're going to make up a pattern. Of course, in boats, nothing's square, so you've got to make a pattern for everything. Right, now we get what's called a dummy stick, which is a little parallel piece of timber, parallel both ways. I'm going to use that, putting it hard up against the edge. And again in that corner, over the other side. We'll take this pattern back down to the timber. And we get our pattern. We end up with a few old screw holes here, but they'll be features. What we're doing, we're lining up the marks and we're transferring the marks back onto the timber, so that when we cut to these lines, this step will go in first hit. Top tip, if you're going to cut down a piece of timber, as the jigsaw blade cuts, it can sometimes break out the fibres of the wood. So because this is quite a critical edge and we want it nice and neat, we're just going to scribe through the top fibres of the wood, right on that line. Like that. Let the jigsaw do the rest, and we should get a nice neat line with no breakout. When you use a block plane across the grain, it's got to be really sharp, because you're up against it trying to cut those end grain fibres. Right, here we go. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, perfect fit, first time. Well, that's not finished yet. I'll just show you one other one I did earlier on, which is a bit more elaborate. This is the pattern we made for this bulkhead here. Let's see, that fits perfectly. And from these marks here, we made up this new bulkhead. Now, a great thing about owning a cruising boat is you can sail to festivals like this one, the old Gaffers in Yarmouth on the Isle of Wight. A gaffer is recognised by its 4-sided mainsail, like this one, as opposed to the more modern and common triangular Bermudan rig. And arriving on a gaffer at a festival like this will ensure you the best of moorings. These old gaffers have crews from all over Britain, and in some cases Europe, taking days to get here. My favourite part of the festival is the races where I can pit my wits against other boats. Today we've been racing on Thalia, which is this lovely 1889 gaff cutter. We've had a great morning's sail. I'm absolutely exhausted, and we came second against over 100 other gaffers, so we're feeling pretty good. We're going to have a beer. Oh, hang down again. Oh, there's a good girl. Although the races are taken very seriously, it's really an excuse for a 3-day party for the whole town.
Look at that over there, look, a lazy person! A lazy person sitting in their armchair!
As the owner of a small cruiser, your eyes are always open to how you can improve your boat, and festivals like the Yarmouth Old Gaffers are excellent places to check out other people's boats. This Dolphin, which is a Fifey, built in Scotland as a fishing boat, and she's also very fast as well. She does very well in the races. She's been in the family for 30 years. John and Laurie are renowned for their cruising exploits. The most ambitious cruise took them as far as South Africa, and on the way out there they were at sea for over 70 days. So I thought I'd pop over for a chat, see how they'd fitted out their boat. So John, what sort of accommodation does Dolphin have down below?
Well, actually she's quite unique because she was built as a small fishing boat. And the forward part of the boat here was the cruise accommodation, and of course the hold was here for the fish. This being built as a small cruiser, this was just turned into a cabin.
Over the last 30 years, they've gradually adapted the interior to suit their needs on long cruises. Oh, lovely job, thank you.
It's very difficult to change anything without impinging on something else that's already there. But we have made some small improvements. One being to make this solid piece here, piece of furniture with drawers in which to gimbalize the lamp. That was just on a bracket on the wall before. And we've closed off behind the door there to make a sort of hanging locker.
This looks like quite an ingenious table, John.
Yes, I must admit I haven't seen one like this before.
Show us how it works.
So,
Let's take the tea.
like this.
Yeah.
Table here. Right. All we do is take these little pieces out of here. Yep. And that goes over like that. So you can also do chart work on here.
Right, excellent. So how do the bunks work?
And the hooks go in here.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Lovely job.
It's not as bad as it looks. You can actually get in quite easily.
Look at that. Yes.
It's just quite sort of tidy, isn't it?
Yes. No chance of falling out. So it's time to leave the festival for another year, and back to Dagmar, whose interior is finally complete. We finished the step, and we put some dowels in here to fill those holes, and she's been varnished up, and that now drops in like that. Now I know I said that we were going to have a dropping front, but the engine being underneath this table here has a water inlet just below, and the old position wasn't really satisfactory. It was going to stick out too much and you couldn't get to it, so I decided to move it back up under here. And you've now got the slide up the top. This is fixed, gives you a lock for bits and pieces, and in here is a stopcock for the cooling water. Salt water out through here, along the pipe to the engine, where it cools the engine before it's spat out the exhaust out the back of the boat. It also keeps the exhaust cool as well. So it just gets it where you can see it, bit of daylight, far better. There. Here's the engine box. We had to widen it slightly. If you see here, we've cut out a piece here because the new engine's a bit wider than the old one. And right at the front, we've got the old pipe cut back in, which I'll show you. And this is the pipe cut. It lives up on its side. Pull on that. Down she comes. And that gives you one extra berth, or space for stowing sails, or space for bags, space for kit. Actually, that looks quite comfortable. I'm going to just give it a go. I wonder how many people have slept in this since she was launched in 1934. Oh. That's quite comfortable, actually. That's very comfortable. But gotta get going. We're going out with Marcus this evening, so I think I'm out of here. You come in then. So on this beautiful summer evening, I'm joining Marcus for a sail in Chichester Harbour. Anne is moored in the Reach, so first we must dinghy out to her. Once on board, Marcus wastes no time in getting the gaff rig sails up. First the mainsail, then the jib. This is the first time I've sailed Anne, so I'm looking forward to seeing how she handles. Well, it's superb, isn't it? I mean, she slips along beautifully.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's a very quick boat.
Are you very happy with her?
Thrilled to bits, actually. Yeah, really, really pleased.
Pretty much, it's a boat that you went out and bought and put in the water.
Ready to go.
She's, so far, done really well.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it was just cosmetic work. The spars just needed some varnish. They've had 10 coats now. And,
10 coats?
Oh, yeah.
10 coats of varnish? Yeah. Oh, you're a quick worker.
And a new coat of paint on the hull.
Yeah.
And that's been it, really. Other than that, it's just been cosmetic stuff. And I've now got a massive list of things to do at the winter.
In the cockpit and so on, any things you want to change?
Cushions, actually. This is uncomfortable. This is really uncomfortable. So
brings a tear to your eye.
It does a bit, yeah.
When you're sitting down, you can't quite see over the top, can you?
No.
You just need a little booster. Well, I think, unless we turn around soon, we're going to hit the road.
Should we go then?
I think we've got no wheels on this one.
Right.
Put a little packet. It's beautifully balanced. I mean, the designer 80 odd years ago got it just right. On some modern boats, you know, you have your tiller right up around your ear. They won't balance, these modern plastic nasty things. And really, this is an absolute delight. You spend quite a few nights on board.
Yeah, a lot now. Yeah, a few weekends. It's been very pleasant.
Is it nice and comfy?
It's lovely. I mean, the bunks are only as wide as they are. We can't really make them any wider. But other than that, it's fantastic. Yeah.
And you found there's enough room for all your food and bits and pieces.
Yeah, there's loads of space underneath each bunk. There's loads of storage there, and because we've only actually got 2 bunks, and most boats this size will probably sleep 4 people, so we've got this huge area in front of the mast where you can chuck the inflatable dinghy, life jackets, all the wet stuff.
Yeah,
it's great.
One of the things I like about sailing is it gives you plenty of time to eat. When you're not rushing around, you can sit in the cockpit and eat. So should we do some lunch?
You can. I'll drive.
Yeah, you drive. I'll cook. Cook? Have you done the cushions as well?
Well, I didn't. Helen made those actually. Yeah, they're lovely, aren't they?
Very nice, beautifully done.
Very nice. They were meant to be curtains for a brother. He hasn't
really?
got any curtains. Yeah.
Excellent. 1 knife, 1 plate, that'll do, won't it? Fish chicken?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, lovely, thank you. If I steer, do you want to put the kettle on?
Yeah, because I wipe my hands as well.
Okay. Marcus has fixed the tap, so now it's just the kettle that gets wet, not us. Powering up. We really seem to be moving now, but at what speed? Well, this is Anne's high-tech speedo. I'm going to time it.
Okay, I'll give you a hand.
By timing how long it takes for an object to travel the length of the boat, this table gives us the speed in knots. 2.8!
2.8!
And the kettle's boiling. 2.8 seconds, so 2 seconds is 7.1 knots. 4 is 3.5. So I'd say we're just below, we're 2.8 seconds, so let's call it about 6.5 to 7 knots, which is pretty fast for an old girl. Now, John and Laurie on Dolphin, they've sailed thousands of miles. They've been down to South Africa. Their longest passage, I think, was 74 days.
74 days?
Yeah, which is incredible. He said they had a job keeping the water fresh for that sort of length.
I was going to say, I don't think I've got room for that much food, actually. I think we'd starve on the way. We wouldn't drown, we'd just get too hungry, eat each other probably.
I mean, so what sort of trips have you done so far, and what sort of plans have you got?
We've been up to Yarmouth, which is the furthest we've been. And other than that, really, we've just stooged about around here in Solent, Chichester Harbour, places like that. Very limited, really, just to weekend sailing. But I find quick sail, cook a meal, spend the night swinging on the anchor, and then go home the next day. It's lovely.
Yeah, no, it's lovely. It's a lovely boat to be on board. Feels very friendly.
She's great.
Very friendly. However, the Sharpies' behaviour is far from friendly. On returning to the workshop, Barnaby, my apprentice, has some bad news.
So all of the sides are doing pretty funny things. Some are fine, some it's dead in line.
Old boats. They're not normally this bad. Sorting her out is going to take some time. It seems that nothing is straight. And this plumb for the centre line should be hanging in the centre. Do you know how you stop a plumb line swinging on a windy day? And the best thing to do is to have a drink. Like this. Beer is better, but it gets full of wasps. Fill the rest of the cup up. stick it in there, and you end up with one shock-absorbed plumb line that won't blow around in the wind. So what we need to do now is wind this side up again, pull this side of the boat down to get that across. We've now got a plumb transom and a plumb stem, and the tabernacle is one of the things that's well and truly out. And you can see that by the way that this string doesn't hang down nicely. That should hang vertically. The tabernacle holds the mast, so a few degrees out at the base can mean the top of the mast is several feet awry. The only way to straighten this is to remove it and replace it. But our troubles don't end there. One side of the hull is higher than the other, so the next job is to sort that out.
12.5.
I'm measuring the lower side of the hull at intervals, while Barnaby marks the depth on the higher side of the corresponding points. 13.5. Once these measurements have been plotted, I join them up by clamping a batten to the side. No humps, no bumps, looking fairly fair. With a sharp chisel, because I lost my pencil again, I score along the batten and then plane down to the new line. I've taken most of it off with the power plane, and now it's time for the block plane, which is easier for this small work, and it's just giving me a 99% finish on this top edge. Once I put the new deck beams in, then I'll fare the whole lot in absolutely perfectly with much larger plane, so the plane bridges all the various members of the structure and make sure everything's perfectly flat for the plywood. Right, let's get that winding stick back on there. It goes that way up, same place as the other one. Stick on top. So now, the moment of truth. Have we managed to put her back into shape? Which is out there. Let's have a look. Absolutely spot on. It's a miracle. But that looks really good. That's much better. So now we've got a boat that not only is straight, but the sides are the same shape as well. So that gives us a really good solid foundation on which to put the new deck structure on.